Hey Home Inspire, I'm Karisma. Welcome to my latest property development in London. Come on in and I'll show you around. I'm an architect and interior designer for Louis Vuitton, and I've taken this property completely back to brick. You're not going to believe the transformation that you're going to see. We extended to the rear, we extended 2 extensions to the loft and completely modernized the interiors, and I can't wait to show you around. This is one of my favorite features. It's some bespoke joinery that I've designed, and I love how the lighting on each of the shelves really kind of brings to life all of the things that we've collected over time, and it creates a great spot to display everything that you have. This is a hidden location for a TV, which we don't have in place yet, but it's a great hiding spot, and it's a very clever way that you can integrate TV joinery and not really making the TV as a main feature of your living space, instead making it more about the coming together around that. Over here, we have built in a window seat, but also hidden in some clever bits of storage, which are a really good idea of using this space as something not just as seating, but you can have multifunctional use. So here we've elevated this whole room completely by adding in some bespoke molding as well. It again ties back to what we have with the joinery and also following it through onto the ceiling as well. It really gives a bit more of a richness to that space as well. This is a beautiful light fixture that we have from Soho Home, and we've gone for a walnut wood instead of oak, which you'll see throughout the rest of the property. This is because you don't need to just stick to one type of wood when you're going for different materials. You need to find a way of balancing multiple things so it doesn't all look the same. Speaking of wood, we have a beautiful Versailles parquet on the floor here, and we transitioned through to more normal planks, but I really wanted to be able to define the living space separate from the dining, and it's really important when you do plan for open plan to be able to divide those zones up as well. So we actually arrived through these beautiful crystal doors, and you'll see this common language throughout the rest of the property. And what I also want to draw attention to is that you arrive into a central space, but it actually frames the living space beyond. And this stone you'll see elsewhere, and I'll tell you how we repurposed some of the stone we have elsewhere and used it to create a more dynamic feature in the living space. So this is probably the biggest transformation area that we've done. This here used to be the old external wall, and we've actually extended 5 meters to the rear and infilled the side of the house. You get this on a lot of 1920s, 1930s properties across London, and it's a great way that you can really maximize your kitchen space. So the intention for this extension was actually to blur the lines between what's old and what's new, and you'll see that through the way we have the glass interacting with the brick. And by having 0 frames, you could really maximize that modern feel that you have with the glass. The extension opens up into the kitchen, and we've got this kind of level change, and one of the biggest impacts that you can make is actually changing the volume of space that you emerge into, and it really creates that wow factor. Sometimes you have interior projects where you do the finishes, you change the flooring, you change the fixtures, but what really creates a wow moment, especially for this property, is that volume of space you emerge into. With this contrast between the old and the new, sometimes when you're going for a full modern design, it becomes a bit stark, I find, and I wanted to find a way to warm that up and not just go for the clean lines, and so we introduced wood into the kitchen. And this kind of links back to how we have the oak joinery elsewhere in the property, and there's this continuous language that you always feel there's a cohesive feel to the whole space. We've done something a bit different than doing your standard backsplash. Instead, I've taken the same worktop up through the wall and back through the upper part of the ceiling, and this creates more of a connection between your upper units and your lower, but also it feels like it's carved out of a single piece of stone, which always gives a bit more weight to a material, especially when it's not real stone. This in a kitchen, if you have a real stone, it's usually a lot more expensive, but to give an expensive feel, you can take that as a kind of guiding principle. Here we have a boiling water tap, which is one of my favourite features for a kitchen. This is from Clearwater and it's the perfect addition to any kitchen. Integrates it all in one. When we were first talking about the design of this extension, we were considering whether to go for a roof light option or up and over glazing. And the concern always is with up and over glazing that it can be quite expensive and it deters most people. But in this case, we worked out that actually the cost difference wasn't going to be too much. And so we went for the highest design impact option, which was always going to be the up and over glazing. And that's why we have this kind of colossal volume of space that you emerge into, and it really does give you that wow factor. Because the kitchen is northeast facing towards the garden, we were really going to struggle to get enough natural light into the dining space, which was more central into the property. And so it was key to go higher with the glazing, and the up and over just made sense to bring more of that natural light into that central dining space. So we've centrally in this space is a 2.4 metre long island by 1 metre in width. This space becomes really great for hosting, especially in the summers, because it's linked directly to the garden and you can really have that free-flowing indoor-outdoor space. So typically for a piece of glazing this big, you'll need a crane to lift it over a terraced property in order to get it into the back. But we managed to get this through the front door. Don't ask how. We had a team of really good builders and they were willing to help us get it through the front door. So here you have it. This came through the house. So we combined this with sliding doors, which also run straight up to the ceiling as well to really create that seamless look. We didn't only want to treat the inside of the house, we also looked at the garden as well and how it can serve as a backdrop to the whole property. And you'll see as we go up the property, you'll get beautiful views outside of this luscious green wall. This one's from Evergreen Direct. And to highlight the green wall, we've introduced lighting in the garden so that in the evenings when you're inside, you turn the lights on and it makes a really cozy outdoor feeling whilst you're cozy inside. Okay, now you've seen the ground floor, let's go upstairs. So in the hallway, we also included the same kind of paneling that we had in the living room to again just continue that same language upstairs to the rest of the property. So before we head upstairs to see the rest of the house, just wanted to point out there's a small WC down here, and here we've kept the existing stair, but we've modernized it by introducing these black spindles that really add that extra touch to the stair. So up here is a split level floor, which is common in a lot of London homes. What I did here was to actually move the partition so we have more of a generous bathroom and still a very good sized bedroom. So this is the smallest bedroom of the house, but it doesn't mean it's the least favourite. This one has a great view outside of the green wall, like I mentioned before. So rather than staring at brick when you wake up in the morning, you've got this luscious green wall. We also tied that idea of greenery back into the interior decor of this space as well. So you'll notice there's touches of green and lots of wood as well. So this is the family bathroom. We have a full width niche where we've introduced lighting, and it really creates that more spa-like feel in the bathroom. And not only that, we have a reeded glass for the shower screen. This whole house is fitted out as a smart home, and this is the Lutron system which controls the lighting and the heating. So previously, what we have here is an additional floor which never existed before. I've added 2 loft extensions, which I'll show you a bit later, but first let's have a look at one of the bedrooms. So in here we've got really great natural light, and I really wanted to amplify that by adding full height mirrors either side of the bed, and also this acts as a great way to frame the bed as a centerpiece as well. I added a touch of wallpaper to take away from that whole neutral feel. Instead, we're bringing in a bit more texture so you can frame it with a more of a visual anchor point. We have some beautiful hanging pendants either side of the bed as well. These are actually ceiling mounted rather than having typical wall lights or just a lamp. so it adds a nice touch. And the chandelier is from Pookie lights, and this again, it really elevates the space. It's a bit grander, but still understated. This bedroom also looks out onto the green wall as well, so you're never going to be able to ignore that green space. So the whole house actually has air conditioning, and we've concealed the air conditioning ducts. Rather than having those big bulky boxes that you often see as an afterthought, we've integrated them into the ceiling in a very clean finish. This is the master bedroom, which actually has a bespoke headboard, similar to what we did in the previous bedroom, but this time we've played with wallpaper and texture and framed it in a very distinctive way. This is a completely bespoke wardrobe, which has a secret lighting detail inside, which I'm going to show you. You can really draw attention to all of your clothes in that wardrobe. And then not only that, we've got a very clean, integrated finish on the outside, and inside I've paired it with walnut again, which again is the same lighting fixture downstairs, but instead we've introduced it into the wardrobe up here. That then just elevates your whole wardrobe space. So here, choosing the lighting was really important to complement the rest of the bedroom. We've gone for a linen chandelier with a black trim detail that then corresponds to the headboard as well, and some beautiful side lamps that also tie in with the whole look. This is the stair up to the new extension, which never existed before. One of the biggest challenges here was to make sure that the landing doesn't start feeling too small, and I think we've managed it by having very neutral interiors. Let me take you upstairs. So on the topic of it not feeling too enclosed, I've introduced a roof light right above the stairwell, which really amplifies the natural light coming in and doesn't make it feel so pokey. So up here, as it's completely new, I wanted to treat it more of an apartment feel within the rest of the house. Behind this crystal door, there is the wow factor of this property, but I'm going to show you that at the end. Come with me to see the apartment. So up here is the fourth bedroom to the property. So one of the biggest challenges with a loft conversion is low ceilings. And how do you make a loft feel like it has a taller ceiling than it actually does? Well, I did a little trick here, and you can tell me if it works in the comments. I integrated a great lighting detail into the headboard of this bed, and this gives the illusion that the ceiling is much higher than it actually is. In reality, it's 2.4 meters, but you won't know that. So throughout this property, I didn't want the furniture pieces, like the cupboards, to feel like cupboards, and instead I wanted to find clever ways to integrate them so you read it as part of the room and the architecture. Here, I've broken up the rhythm of this wall by introducing shelving, and again the same kind of lighting, which really creates a more dynamic look rather than it feeling really flat. So this wardrobe feels more like the wall rather than the wardrobe, and also hides some under roof storage before it becomes the headboard to the bed. We've opted for a very low level bed, more of a Japanese style, and actually I designed this because of the space. The space has a low ceiling, which I mentioned before. This is another way that you can really create an illusion of height by lowering all of your furniture. And you'll also see those hidden AC ducts as well. And we have these beautiful cast iron radiators from the Cast Iron Radiator Company. These are great for period properties like this because they're very appropriate for the time in which these type of properties were built. Then just to bring you back to that view again, here we have a frameless Juliet balcony, which looks out onto the garden and also that overflowing expanse of glass below as well. So up here, we actually had enough space to separate the bedroom space from a living space, which then looks out onto the garden. And it's just a really cozy breakout space from the rest of the bedroom. As we go down, we have glass balustrades so that we create a more open visibility throughout the top floor, blocking none of the views, and also the black detailing, which then ties back in to all of the accents we have in the rest of the property. Now this is the bit that you've been waiting for. This is the master bathroom, and we have huge ceiling heights in here, and again introducing the roof light to maximize and amplify that natural light. The bathtub and the double basins are from Lusso stone. All of the taps and fixtures are from JTP Plumbing, and the tiles are from Mandarin Stone. I love marble tiles for the bathroom, but they're not great for bathroom. They're really porous. Mandarin Stone actually do a porcelain dupe and the quality is unmatched. We've got this nice purple veining and it adds an extra touch. Rather than it feeling like a grey, you've got that touch of colour. So in here, the ceilings were really high. This was intentional, but it can create a lot of blank wall space. We've created a bit more interest by changing the patterning of the tile on the walls to create a more dynamic feel. So each of the basins are framed by a mirror that has lighting either side and frames that vanity unit really nicely in the rest of the space. So what luxury bathroom doesn't come complete without a balcony? Here is your very own private balcony. Again, we have that green wall so that as you arrive up from the stairs, you're not seeing the London skyline, instead you're seeing greenery again. This is one of 2 mansard roof extensions that we did, and they actually take an L shape, but they're stepped. We matched the same slate to the surrounding properties to keep a more homogeneous feel with the surrounding context. This is something you'll need to know during the planning process. Okay, in terms of space planning here, you would think that the balcony is more suited off the bedroom, but we've done it off the back of the bathroom. This is because if we had placed the bed where the bathroom currently is, you're not going to have much space. You're not maximising the floor plan of the actual loft space, and instead it becomes a very cramped area. What we want to do is to make it feel more expansive, and by doing the balcony off of the bathroom, you get a very luxurious morning routine feel. So again, it depends how you like to live your life, but I would be very happy to merge onto a nice balcony in the morning. It would be the perfect spot for yoga or take your coffee out here. I'd probably include a coffee machine in my lounge space over there and bring it out here on the balcony. So I think it's the perfect spot. That's a wrap for this tour. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see more of this property, it is actually up for sale and you can check out the listing in the link below. And if you'd like to see more of what I do, you can check my Instagram, TikTok or YouTube at Design by Karisma. See you soon. Bye. My Instagram, TikTok. TikTok. Check out my handles. No, you can not check out my handles. Can't I do this? I can do this. Okay, I can do this. Okay. Thank you. Oh no.